Hearing a lot of noise in the background tonight. It is what it is. Thanks everybody for being on. Some of you enjoying the holy day. If you worship this holy day or worship on this holy day or celebrate this one, thankful to have you guys with us tonight. Though, as I said, there's a lot of music out here tonight. It is what it is, but thanks for being on. As always, this bit of words of my mouth and meditation of my heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our redeemer, and it's in his name, which is his authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect tonight's message. Aman. Shalom, everybody. Shalom. How you doing? Peace, everybody. We appreciate you. Thanks for being on with us. Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. And we're thankful and grateful. We give all praise once again to Yahweh Elohim, to my wife, to Yahweh Elohim for my wife, the Honorable Maya, who lives a life able to be honored. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A-N-D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. So thank you guys so much for being around tonight, taking some time out with us, to the moderators, ministerial staff, SOC, diaspora, agree with us, disagree with us, whatever the case might be. We're thankful to have everybody on with us today. We just simply ask that you treat each other as human beings. And if not, we have moderators for a reason. So hopefully you will, treat each other as human beings, so we won't have to worry about any of that stuff. And tonight we're going to talk about the reset. The reset. Why is it that you cannot identify your culture because they keep resetting it and you keep resetting it because you're trying to identify something that you may not be? But let's go ahead and say hello to everybody real quick. Hello, everybody on YouTube. Hello, everybody on TikTok. How are we doing? Let's see. Hebrew Executive. Melanie Lopez. How you doing? Grace, today's been tough. Well, sorry to hear about that. Hopefully things will get well, and hopefully we'll be able to give you something that'll be able to help out. I'm not sure if it's Jewel Hall. Shalom to you. Elion, how you doing? Sister Deja, B-Moon. What do I think about the UFO and Project Blue Beam? Don't really think much of it, in all honesty, because I don't know too much about it other than names. How you doing, Cole? Cole for Diamond. Brother Alton, Minister Morel. Let's see. It just skipped ahead on me. I apologize. You said you don't celebrate the killing of your brothers and sisters. Yeah, neither do we. Neither do I. So yeah, that's why I haven't said Happy Thanksgiving or anything like that. We talked about that already earlier when we were on earlier today. We talked about Thanksgiving, and we talked about the truth of Thanksgiving in our Truth About series. If you like to go and check out that playlist on YouTube, you can feel free to do so. So, but we appreciate you. How you doing, Sister Barbara? And happy belated born day to you once again. How you doing? Yes, Ben. Alrighty. So we're going to talk about the truth about the picture's freezing. Is it freezing on TikTok? I'm sorry, I missed it. Is the reception all right? Can you guys see me and hear me okay? How you doing, Isaiah, Israel, Keller? All right. Miss Pierce, can y'all hear me? Y'all can see me okay, hear me okay? It looks like we got a signal. It's all right now? Okay. I'll try to keep an eye out on it. If we got to switch signals, I'll try to do so. You don't celebrate this day, and everyone is every day is Thanksgiving. Well, Thanksgiving, even in the mindset, is really supposed to be a day of fasting, even from a Eurocentric mindset. The propaganda of Thanksgiving started when Abraham Lincoln made it an official holiday. So we talked about that earlier today. So I'm in agreement with you. You don't really need to have this day, to have a day that you can fast. Or if you want to be gluttonous, heck, you can do that every day anyways, right? How you doing, Brother Rick? Hopefully all is going well with you and your wife. Praying for you continuously. And like I said, if you ever need to reach out, just let us know. Coming in and back, it's interrupting. Okay, well, I don't know. I got a green. Is that happening for everybody? I've got a green signal on here. It says I'm great to go. However, if that's not what you have on your, I will try to see if I can change the signal, see if that works. But we're going to talk today about the reset. Tonight, we're going to talk about the reset. Okay? The reset. What do we mean when we say the reset? All right. Thank you, Alton. Brother Alton. Thank you, Sister Sloan. So when we say, okay. So when we say the reset, this is what we're talking about today. Let's set this correctly. Amen. Psalm 50, verse 14, offer unto Elohim thanksgiving and pay thy vows unto the Most High. There you go. So we're talking about the reset today, right? When we talk about this reset, this is what we want to do today with the reset. I'm talking about the reset where every year, or every generation, or every 20 years, even, you are going to see a total reset on the way that things operate because we have no culture, or at least we don't adhere to a specific culture. We have a culture, but we usually choose not to follow it or lift it up, right? That's something that's actually written down in the Willie Lynch letter, where we're told specifically that if you that basically when it comes to culture, that the mind will try to reset itself when it comes into something tangible, when it comes to something substantive. Your mind will start to reset itself when it realizes that there's something of substance there, even when you haven't had something of substance to grab onto. And so once that's done, the powers that be it will introduce things to try and get you away from substance. Hey, how you doing, Big Brother Thomas? I saw the link just pop up. I'll try to catch it in a little bit. So a lot of us are out here without substance. A lot of us are out here without culture. And so when you're without culture, you have to recognize and realize very quickly that our lack of culture causes us to continue to be in this perpetual cycle. For example, we talk a little bit about this for Patreon fam. We talked about this somewhat tonight. I came on tonight to talk about a little bit about this. You know, so I kind of set some foundation there for you as well. If you want to deal with this stuff, like, you got to be honest about the fact that when you don't have a culture, this is what happens. Every February, what month is that for our diaspora? What do they call that month? Every February is called what month for us? Supposedly for us, right? Every February is what month for Black folk? What do they call it? Black History Month, right? Okay, right. And I'm not just talking about it's the shortest month of the year and all that stuff, even though it is. Here's what I want you to dive into. Whenever we go back to Black History Month, it's a reset. You know why? Because the only history they want you to believe that you have is what? Starts at slavery, right? So it doesn't matter what's happening, what you're going through, whatever. There's a reset once a year. How you doing, Minister Joseph? And if Minister Sharon is watching, how you doing as well? Right. So there's a reset every year. Every year for us, there's a reset. We're going to go back to talking about what your story starts at slavery, and the first Black person to do surgery was this. You got to start there though, so you'll believe the first Black person. But the first Black person to do surgery, if you go by the colonial construct or even social construct, you got to deal with what, going all the way back to Kemet, or hey, the first person to really master the alphabet, right, is da 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 da, right? The reality though is that the first Black person to master the alphabet really is somebody who copied off the alphabet. So we have to go back to there, right? But we are constantly, consistently being given resets in our lives, right? Or some people even decide to go back to the 1600s. That's true. Some people want to go back to Columbus, but that's about the furthest they're going to give you, right? Anything outside of that is just going to be an argument over, hey, slaves, reset this and that or whatever. Well, you can say Passover, yes, it's a reset for us yearly, of course, too, right? And I definitely agree with that. However, in this context, I want you to kind of see what's going on here, where you're dealing with issues that are going on, and you're constantly being reset. Our sisters say we need for people to be able to stand up for us, and so people say their own brothers are the ones who are sent by other people to tell them, be quiet, y'all ain't nothing, right? Our own brothers will say, we need some support and some respect. We don't get respect anywhere. We have our own sisters sent to tell us, hey, be quiet, y'all don't know what you're talking about. Every time, and as much as we want to look, I'm not trying to say we shouldn't support Kanye whatsoever, right? But Kanye was used to be able to come out and tell us to be quiet, right? And that white lives matter. Now all of a sudden his career's on the line. He needed us to get in line. Now all of a sudden he's taking back what he said, and he's probably slowly but surely going to get his status back. Don't forget they send people like Candace Owens in. They sent Omarosa in. They said, you know what I'm saying? They send all these people in constantly, consistently. How you doing? My wife is on once again. Check out my wife on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. Right? How you doing, Miss Matt? So there's a hard reset that they try to give us. How you doing, Brother Jerome? Yeah, Brother Jermaine, excuse me. There's a hard reset that's put on us, right? How you doing, TJ? And so we are constantly, consistently living in the reset. We don't subscribe to our own culture, and so basically we try to make the best out of what others have given us, right? One generation says, "Hey, wear suits and ties." So you can be like them, right? Another generation says, "Hey, work for them. The white man's ice tastes colder." Another generation says, "Hey, man, at least make sure that you go out there and you can till the land." Right now, we have a generation where, hey, you know, we'll wear somebody else's stuff. Like you know, I'm in a generation where we grew up, and it was what Versace. Could you wear Versace? Could you wear D-Lo? Could you wear, um, could you wear Coco Chanel? Could you make sure that you have Coach? Can you do all these different things? And then the more that you have, the more of those things that you wear, then that means the better you are. If you can go to Tiffany's and you can get Tiffany's to make you a better chain, right? Then that means that you better in the culture. But is that your culture? Yeah, Christian Dior or something like that. Yeah, wearing someone else's name, right? Do you have the Tims? You have Prada. You have Nike, right? Nike's not about you. Do you have Adidas or Puma? Adidas and Puma were both brothers, and both of them were Nazis, right? Can you wear somebody else's product, and can you wear it well? Can you represent somebody else well? Can you wear them well, right? And so we constantly go through this reset where every generation we start acting completely different. We set the trend, but we never you see. Watch this. We become great at becoming trendsetters. I'm trying to remember the way the Holy Spirit she gave it to me. We have become great at setting trends, right? But setting trends doesn't mean that that belongs to you. If you get my drift, hopefully that makes sense, right? That we have become great at becoming trendsetters, but we don't have anything that belongs to us. Because watch this. If we're going to reclaim the throne, right? See, you got to reclaim the throne through something that is yours. Things that are trendy do not give you thrones. Kings do not set trends. Kings make mandates. Queens do not set trends. Queens make mandates, right? But we're busy at taking something that somebody else tells us to do, and we try to say since we do it slightly different, we'll take your hat, but we'll wear it to the side, right? And when we wear it to the side, or we wear a little off, or we put a little right, when we wear it to the side, now it's ours. No, it's not. You're still wearing somebody else's. You just made it trendy. You said everything us one. Separation is illusion or ego. Mm. I mean, truth separates. There's some people who want to live by lies and stay together, but truth separates. And the truth of the matter is, everybody should be able to be one, but that's not how people are treated, correct? I mean, the fact that you would come on and automatically say that because I'm addressing something that affects everybody in society, and you would say, "Up, you're trying to separate people," that shows that you're obviously not even trying to listen. So that's not being one, or everything is everything, all one, wakwan, things like that, right? See, it's trend. See, it's even trendy to be able to come on somebody else's platform, not listen to a word they have to say, and automatically say that you're bad. That's called ad hominem, by the way. Right? If we were to use, Latin language, people like that sometimes better than language is there. Or sometimes we speak Latin, don't even realize it. But that's what ad hominem is. You're so busy about trying to say that I'm bad that you're not even listening. Right? But it's become trendy. We're very big in the trend, but we're not big into things that mandate respect. Right? Trends are not really respectable. Trends are cute, right? And we keep having reset because we keep going through things that are trendy. It's cute to come up with a new dance for every new generation, but that's cute and everything. But what is that going to get you, right? I'm not saying we shouldn't keep up culture, we shouldn't have any dances at all, but hear what I'm saying. Like to be able to say we create, oh yeah, we got the real mashed potatoes over here. We got we really made the jerk what it was, and we really did all these different things, and we came up with this and that or whatever. Like it's nice, it's cute, it's condescending. It's you're being held in contempt. Psalm 123 verse 4, right? That there are people when it comes to your psychology, when it comes to the soul of your people, to where they are very much so at ease, right, with you being scorned. And it says they hold you in contempt. The word contempt literally means that they believe you deserve to be scorned, right? However, like we hold on to dances, we hold on to hip hop and all this. By the way, hip hop is always going to be number one and number two money maker for all these different places. In European nations, are going to be like number four. So we always going to be like top 10 money makers for everybody around the world. But what are you holding on to that's righteous that you're going to keep? What is the mindset? Right, and all these trends that we like just in hip hop, right, and now the 2020s, it's straight up like every man for themselves. Who cares what anybody else to say? We like discipline. That's the trend. That's the trend. You can't tell me what to do, right? In 2010s, it was do you, right? Do you, and let's get into this Molly Percocet and stuff. At the 2000s, right? In the 2000s, it was what? It was basically like, hey, we just dancing and living or whatever. Just let go of us, right? In the 90s, it was gangster, right? It was gangster rap. In the 80s, it kind of was morphing into gangster rap, but it was just like, hey, we out here to have fun and we out here to have rap battles, right? And all those things, right? Like you got to figure out like what is the consistent theme, even in every 10 years, it's changing. We keep resetting because we're not holding on to something that we say this is our culture no matter what, right? Like even though Elvis Presley took a lot of stuff from blues musicians and rap and R&B artists and people of that ilk and even other country singers and stuff, even though he took their songs in their in a certain community, Elvis is always the king of rock and roll. Now it's not true. The Beatles didn't learn from Elvis. The Beatles learned from Chuck Berry, right? But you try to talk to somebody of a certain culture who's the king of rock and roll, it's always Elvis. You know why? Because there are certain things that we're going to make ours that we don't care who pops up. We don't care if there's a Kurt Cobain later on. We don't care if there's a Creed. We don't care if there's this. We don't care if there's that. Like the king is always Elvis because that's culturally what it is, right? Even in that, we're not going to do a reset. We're not going to look for the next. See, but in our minds, we are trend. We're into trends. So we're always looking for the next. That's why people are trying to tell you your Beyonce is better than Michael Jackson. Like you're looking for somebody to be the next. But if Michael Jackson is the standard, then let somebody be the standard and let them be that standard for a while. If Marcus Garvey is the standard, then you don't have to try and erase Marcus with Martin or with Medgar or with Malcolm or with Amos or with Francis or with Joy DeGruy, or whomever. Let somebody be the standard, right? But we keep going through a reset. Right. I'm not saying we shouldn't go through a mindset where every once in a while we kind of do a brain dump, if you will. Right. But yeah, exactly. Like let's stop getting out of trends. What is the classic for us? What is classical of the classical? What is a classic way of living for our diaspora? Right. What is something that's classic for you? Why is it that you feel separated from Mesopotamia? Not just Kemet, not just Put, not just Kush, not just Timbuktu, right? Not just Carthage, not just Morocco, right? Why do you feel foreign when it comes to Mesopotamia? Why do you believe that there's 7 continents when a continent has to be a large landmass completely surrounded by water? So why do you look at Europe being a real thing when Eurasia came before Europe, and before Eurasia, Europe just meant anything that belonged to Rome, and before that, Africa, Europe, and Asia were considered to be one continent? Why do you do that? Because we don't have a standard. So somebody can come by and reset. Here's how dangerous the reset is. There's tons of towns, by the way, we know this, right? Tons of towns we can look at that are underwater, former black towns, towns in Oregon, towns in Alabama, towns in Georgia, right? But just in New York, right? And I'm gonna get these, now that I've said that, I'm gonna get these wrong because I always forget. What is the park that everybody tells? Central Park, right? Just in Central Park. There used to be a town called Yorkville. Are you familiar with Yorkville? A lot of people don't. A lot of people live right next to them, have walked right over these things, have gone fishing in some of these places, don't even know. There's a town that used to be black town called Yorkville. Yorkville, black town in New York, right? By the colonial construct, black town in New York. earned, wasn't given to us. We did what we were supposed to do, all that stuff or whatever. And people decided to kill those people off and then literally, put the town underwater. So if you go to New York and a lot of these places where you go fishing, you're actually going fishing in Yorkville. Okay. Now, if you go past Yorkville, or if you go in the water, or if you seeing a boat pass by, or if you're going over a bridge, sometimes you're going over Yorkville, you don't even know it. Now, right next to Yorkville is a park called Central Park, right? So they needed a park to go with this place that they just made, right? So they called it Central Park, but that used to be a place called Seneca Falls, right? So Seneca Falls, another black town, completely covered, right? Now they buried that and made it Central Park, and they killed off or removed everybody that was on that land. And how are we doing, Sherilyn? How you doing, Chukma? How you doing, Sister Deborah? Right? How you doing? Oh, Ransom. What am I trying to say? I told you your name be messing with me. I'm trying to call you something that's not your name, Jerome. Trying to call you Jeremy and everything else. Okay, right? But these are things that are there, right? Like that they literally reset your people. They reset the town, and so there's people who have no clue, even though they tell you they are somewhat honest. You go certain places, you got to look kind of hard for them, but you'll see these historical markers that are there to be able to tell you, oh yes, this used to be a black town, but they don't tell you, oh yeah, we just moved everybody off, or we killed everybody that wouldn't move off, and we went ahead and just covered it up, and we call it Central Park now. And so now they're so busy, the crime and everything, and look at this crime and all these black people that commit crimes, and be afraid, don't just run in Central Park, and don't go near the water there and stuff like that by yourself. But you're talking about formerly known as Yorkville and Seneca Falls. They reset who you were, they reset your place, they covered it up, and then they covered it up so well that now they got people to believe that we're terrorists, we're terrorizing them, when you literally killed us off and pushed us off land. And by the way, when you talk about a Negro, the word for Negro back then, it could mean black African or black native. They mixed you in when they bred you together in these breeding camps. So we constantly go through so many resets that we don't even know we're going through resets now. And now people get frustrated because we say, wait a minute, we can't trust you, and we can't trust the people teaching us. You say, hey, we don't teach it in our schools. We shouldn't teach it in our schools. Well, yeah, of course you wouldn't want to taught it in your schools, because that means your grandchildren got to know the truth. You didn't do that in 1805, right? What about the zoos that were in New York in the 1900s that had black people in the zoo? What about the fact that you still have sundown towns in upstate New York right now? See, but they have to keep resetting it. So you find out truth about it. What do they do? Now here's one of the real ways or the most disgusting ways that they do this. They say, okay, people are finding out about the truth. Now we're going to start getting people to start arguing over politics rather than that, right? You said these young parents are not informed. They're coming for us on past them abuse as a you're abused. Oh, okay. You're saying you were abused by a pastor? I'm sorry, I might have misunderstood some of the chat. So there was a neighborhood of our people where in St. Louis Gateway now stands. Yeah, there's a lot of places where your neighborhoods were. They built highways over them. Oh, to stop you from finishing your truth. You know. So watch this. So you should. You said that's what you want for your grandchildren to know. Okay. Yeah, so these things are there because watch this, the same powers that be are still the people. Like you don't think, like here's the thing that people don't get. You don't think that people that are in power, that had power passed down from one generation to the next, you don't think they know what that used to be, right? You don't think that they know that that's what used to be. And if you ever realize what it was, see, reparations is something more sinister. Y'all keep talking about money and stuff. If they were ever to give you reparations, they got to give you back the land that they kicked your ancestors off of right in New York, central New York. And the water that they made and everything, that the dam and everything they built, the stuff that they created, they would have to get rid of that and have to give you your land back. Or if they're not going to give you that land back, then that water has to be yours. What if you own a water source? What is that going to do for your people? Right? See, the reset is crucial. They keep resetting over and over again. Right? The reset is real. Right? The reset is real. They reset. They have to reset over and over again, because if you ever realize who you were and what was really there, what you built, like how many black by colonial construct, how many black taxi cab companies were taken out? How many black bus companies were taken out? When you were screaming for integration, they literally did integration to be able to get rid of. Like, they didn't want integration for the longest time, and then when they looked and they said, "Oh, they'll start riding our stuff," they used it to be able to go ahead and get you to believing that the white man's ice tastes better. What about the Negro Leagues? What about a lot of different things that you built? Major League Baseball doesn't exist without you. They literally integrated you in from the Negro Leagues when y'all were kicking their behind, and ticket sales, and and when you guys would get together for what they call the All-Star game. It used to be the Negro Leagues versus the Major Leagues. Now it's the American League versus the National League, right? They still kept that "nuh" sound in there to make it kind of nostalgic for people. Oh, Jermaine. I'm sorry. See, I told you. I'm all over the place, right? Um, but yeah, I don't know why I'm saying I got to get myself together. I said Jerome or something, probably. You said you feel you're awake now, and truth is not being heard from you, even principles, abuse in the system. Well, yeah, that's why, once again, our goal is not to create a better version of the system. Our goal is to make sure we just come out of it. Yeah, we gave up everything to end up with nothing over time. Yeah. And they told you, if you give up everything and become like us, you'll be able to stand like us. That's the same reason why the feminist movement is going on, by the way. You have wives, white women who gave up everything and gave up decency, and were killing people just as much as white men were raping people just as much as white men were. And then all of a sudden turned around and said, "Where's my cut?" And they said, "What do you mean?" That's what the feminist movement is about. It's not about, when you're talking about patriarchy, like we didn't, if anything, you reversed our nature. According to Willie Lynch later, you said that we black men were supposed to be on the bottom. And you taught black men to act like white women. You taught white women to act like you taught black men to act like white women, and black women to act like white men. It's a reset. And and the ultimate reset is if we ever came back to ourselves as fathers, if the hearts of the fathers ever return to the children, if the hearts of the mothers ever go back to being, where they're supposed to be, if husbands were a real thing in our community again, and wives were a real thing, and we were pre-qualified for marriage, and we'd be faithful to death do us part, you'd be surprised how much stuff would just start with that simple message, with that simple thing of us seeing every day, that much of a reset. Because it wasn't until the crack epidemic of the '80s that less than 50% of the houses in the black community were without a father and mother living in the same place. He said it's infuriating how alive segregation is. Like, what does it take? What does it take? I mean, it takes us coming out of the system. It said fake news on this end. You gave up your name from the day you understood what it was for. Okay, right. Okay. Right, but what I'm trying to tell you is that we're living. If you're not careful, you continue to live in a society today that says that you keep up the same stuff. Right, we're living in a society today that's keeping up the same mentality. What you said, you argue somebody down about segregation never made sense when we had everything. Yeah, and by the way, this is something that we tell people. Right, this is, once again, they reset it, but quiet is kept. The times when, whatever you want to call our diaspora, Israel, black, Moor, indigenous, Alkebalan, Ethiopian, Kush, whatever you subscribe to, and use, a lot of us use to prescribe, but nevertheless subscribe to, whatever you subscribe to. Remember this, that when it came to us, black folk at their best, when you're talking about us being at our best as far as wealth is not just money. Wealth is, financial, health, culture, religiosity, accepting others, things of that nature. When we were at our best, it was either when we were segregated or when we had our own kingdoms and tribes. You can say whatever, like, people always try to dismiss that, because people will do what they were trying to do this rising when we were talking about Thanksgiving. Oh, well, we came over and you guys were killing each other off and this and that. You act like all Native people did was just fight each other. Stop it, right? Like, that's nonsense. but you're not looking at the whole thing. When we were at our greatest as a community, it was when we were segregated. Now, segregated doesn't mean that we asked to be segregated. And by the way, when we had kingdoms and tribes, we weren't asked and living together as such. We weren't saying that we were better than you just because we were part of a kingdom or a tribe. We simply were allowed to keep our culture. How you doing, Bill Canada? Feel like long time no talk to you. How you been doing? Right. So we are in this position to where people are keep trying to get us to do these things, and they keep coming along to reset. And thank you for the love, appreciate it. People keep coming by to give you a reset. You talk about how we should come together, and somebody says, "Oh, you're a reverse racist." How are we reverse racist? Like here's one of the wildest concepts. See, they reset your mindset on this. You think that gentrification is a bad thing. You do, and gentrification is not bad at all. If somebody comes in your land and gentrifies, then you might have a problem. But if somebody has their own and they want to make it look like what they live like, what they look like, it should look like that. If I go to certain towns, I should be able to identify. Oh, I'm in Chinatown right now. If I go to Seventh and H, right, Northwest DC, I should be able to be like, yeah, I'm in Chinatown right now, right? It shouldn't be, it shouldn't be something like that, right? If I go to, I don't know, if I go over to New Orleans, I should be able to hear or see some sounds like that. Hold on one second. Sorry, children in there running around. uh, but yeah, where was I? Don't even know where I was at. Where was I at? Somewhere in there. Where was I at? Yeah, everything's okay. They running, running around, about to mess, looking like they might break something or whatever. I had to step in real quick. Uh, I can't. I can't. Where was I at? What was I talking about? Anyways, culturally speaking, we have this problem, and it's a reset. People don't want to talk about the reset. Oh, gentrification. Yeah, gentrification is not a bad thing. You should want things to look like you. If I go to Little Havana, it should seem Cubano, right? If I deal with Little Philippines, it should look like the Philippines. If I go to Philippines, it shouldn't be reminding me of America. Like there should be some stuff there structurally that says like, oh, I'm in a different place. When I go to Ghana, right, and you're sitting up there, and I believe is in Accra, or maybe it's in between Accra and Millennium City or something like that. But when I see that building, I think it's Accra. It's not super Accra, so I think it's in Accra. And you're riding, and you see that building, and it's like you see a whole piece of the building hanging out. And the way the structure is, you're like, wow, how do they even get that to happen or whatever? You don't really see buildings like that. That's a Ghanaian building. So I would go, oh, okay, I know what that is, right? If I go to Shwi or to Ashanti, I shouldn't be thinking everybody's going to say hello, even though everybody has the ability to because they learn English, they learn multiple languages. But I should be able to hear somebody say Akwaba. If I go to another place, if we're doing business, I should be able to hear Habari. You said that's what disappointed you. Yeah, my wife was saying that's what disappointed her about Japan. She didn't feel like she left the States a lot of the time. Yeah, but there's also certain places where if you do go, you're going to feel like, oh, this is straight Japanese. Now, one thing you will feel is culture, even as far as the size of the room, the service that you're going to get. Like service in Japan, makes service in America, look like nothing, right? Somebody, if you ask somebody for something, they run. They don't just say, okay, we'll be there in a little bit. You're going to see them start running to serve. How you doing, Sir Stephen? If I didn't say so already, right? So, if I go to different places, I expect if you go to England, like fish and chips is actual fish and chips, and it's not really seasoned like that, right? So somebody over there might love it. I really don't like it because it's not something that I would eat, Nothing, no shade on them. It's just not my culture, right? So it's not something I grew up with, or something that I was like, oh yeah, that's just the way that it is. If I'm sitting up there, and I go to Nigeria or Ghana, I shouldn't say anything about Ghanaian rice. Or jollof rice is better than Nigerian, and I shouldn't say anything about Nigerian rice if I'm in Ghana. It's better than Ghanaian. Right? Like, I better make sure that when I go to these places, I better make sure, because what? Because of gentrification. Like, there's a way that they cook, and even if it seems to be very similar, right? You better not say it's similar. If I go to Ghana and we're sitting down or whatever, they might be trying to be nice and give a fork and a knife and all that. But the reality is they want to see are you going to eat with your right hand. Doesn't matter if you're eating a stew. Doesn't matter if it's hot. Doesn't matter what the temperature is. They want to know, because when I go there, there's a way that they eat. Even the eating looks like that, right? So chopsticks and everything is nice, but if you're from China, so what? Like, if you're gonna eat with us, if you're gonna eat correct, like, we eat using our hands. Why? Because your hands actually add to the flavor. When it's time to wash your hands, yeah, you can wash in the sink and stuff, but also there's a time where you might have to dip your hand in the bowl, right? That's a very Afrocentric way of eating. Israel mixed with Afrocentric values at times, because we're a lot of the times the same people. So, like, gentrification shouldn't be something we run away from. But once again, we get a reset. So now we argue, oh, why does this place look like you? What your argument shouldn't be is, why does my community look like it's not like us? You have to ask yourself, do you own your community? Do you have a right to say what your community should look like? See, we do this weird thing where we're not trying to come together, not trying to make sure we take ownership, not trying to make sure that even if several families have to live together, this one block will look like us. It will be ours. Right? Yeah, nice and be. Hmm. Yeah, like you better, like, if you're going someplace, like, you have to ask yourself, why doesn't it look like you? Why does, when you say look like you think hood, and when you think doesn't look like you think kept up well, right? Why do you not have buildings that are shaped like you? What is an African shaped building? Why do you find it something fundamentally wrong? Like, a lot of us find it fundamentally wrong to identify with something that might look like a hut. Why do you think it's wrong to look like something that's a teepee? I mean, you were a nomadic people, were you not? Right? Why would you try to keep up with the Joneses and stuff, and make sure everything looks like what they wanted to look like? You have to ask yourself those questions. Why does my life have to look like everybody else's? Right? Why do your clothes have to have everybody else's name on it? And if it's going to have a name on it, why do you not research to see if it's something that you're pouring into your own culture, your own people, or not? Like, these are the things you have to ask yourself. See, but the reset comes just when we start asking these questions. The reset comes. Watch this. The Holy Spirit showed me this earlier. If you really want to have a place to where you don't keep getting reset in your values and your culture and your people and your ways and you're coming together, don't worry about voting for like the next 4 years, and just watch what happens. They got some of y'all December, whatever, right? Biden's going to be up in 2 years. They're going to try to start the cycle all over again. Don't worry about voting for the next 4 years and see what happens in your life. Don't focus on trying to make America great, or trying to say how great it's not been, or whatever. Focus on becoming greater as a people, and watch yourself automatically start doing things you never thought were even possible. Right? No matter who the president is, you still got the same bills, correct? No matter who the governor is, you still have to make sure that you do things correct. No matter who your prime minister is, you still have to make sure your family eats. Stop focusing on these people that are not actually doing anything that's affecting you anyways. Because their goal is not to cause change. Their goal is to continue to keep the status quo. And the status quo is to have many slaves or debt slaves. Just think about that, right? The goal of whatever government you're attached to is not to make sure that the people are taken care of, it's to make sure that the status quo. Now, what is the status quo? Is the status quo justice for all? Because if it's not justice for all, then don't worry about voting the next person in who's not going to worry about justice for all. Just make sure that you start worrying about justice for those that will be like-minded, because you can't take care of all. I know that, see, that's part of the rhetoric, that's part of the mindset, that's part of the messing with us, the messing with your mind. You literally believe that you can create justice for all, when the reality is that's not on you, right? That's not on you, not at all. People all the time, what are you going to do for America? What are you going to do? Look, I already served. And when I served, I realized more than many who have not served that I cannot take care of a whole country. I can't hold down the whole line by myself, right? I can't, fire the helicopter up and get off it at the same time. I can't do those things. I can't fly the plane and tell the plane to take off. I can't shoot the cannons by myself. I can't look at the radar by myself. I'm not capable of doing that, right? I learned a long time ago that you can't do it by yourself. And it's not my goal. And by the way, even when I tried to protect the country, they did everything that they could to try and tell you why you ain't good enough anyways. Right? The deception that the system is for you. It works as it was built, right? It's a temporary system. That's why Hubba's system is eternal. Right. But it is not my goal, it is not my desire, nor is it something that's feasible for me to save a world. I'm not a savior, number one. I'm a vessel to be used by the Savior, and the Savior has told everybody, abandon ship, right? Abandon ship doesn't mean stay on there and start trying to figure out if you can keep it afloat with cups of water and stuff like you see in the cartoons. Abandon, right? Find a bucket and start scooping out stuff so you can make sure that the ship that can carry thousands of people will be able to stay because you just got one bucket. Abandon ship means get off. It's going now. Get into the water, right? Hopefully you took them swimming lessons because it's time to swim, right? It's like abandoned ship is different, right? A different mindset. For whatever reason, we have this thing where the ship is falling apart, right? The Titanic is up in the air, about to split into two, and we made up in our minds that, we need to go ahead and try and stay on it, right? Like we passed the point where the string quartet is finished playing. At this point, we're trying to play as we're in the air, falling into pieces of the ship. Right? Like at a certain point, women and children must go, and now we got to figure out a way to survive, brothers. Like we got to get our women and children out of this. You know, like we have to get them out of this situation, this precarious situation that keeps having the same problems. Right? Definition of insanity: continuing to do the same thing over and over again and getting the same result every time. Right? And then once again, even when you start recognizing it, what happens? You fall in line with something that causes you to reset. Titanic 2, and you get up on it. Follow at the same speed in the same place where icebergs were. Definition of insanity. We're doing the same thing. And as long as we keep doing the same thing, they get the same reset. See, people are not worried about you even finding out about truth if they know you're still going to reset yourself. Yeah, we keep on taking the customs of man, expecting something different in our people, right? Like people are not worried about, as much as people think that this is the case. See, I believe this until recently, and so very recently, I kind of sort of believe this, that the thing that's going to change is when everybody knows better. But people are not really concerned about you knowing better, right? People are concerned because you can know something and still decide to reset. Go with the reset. I can be better. I can become better. But nobody can make it without a 9 to 5. I'll just keep doing the same thing. Like they know you're not going to go but so far because you don't have a belief that says that I can go further than what my oppressor states. So if the oppressor has stated that you will not be able to go but so far, you're going to keep it not going but so far. Not because of the oppressor at a certain point, but because you've done it yourself. Heck, Willie Lynn said that too. That if, don't focus on the first generation we're trying to get to do this, focus on the next generations. And if you teach this for 1 year, the next generation will be taught by the next generation, next generation, next generation. After that, they won't have to touch anything. Yeah, the water is pretty decent. I used to drink Perrier at first exclusively, but Perrier, it doesn't really taste right to me anymore, especially the flavored Perriers. But really, I got a few go-tos, but this one's pretty decent. Really, I'm not even concerned about whether it's sparkling or whatever, as long as it's really, uh, as much as possible, as long as it's clean at this point, right? But it's about a reset. They're not the most dangerous thing is not even. Well, I won't say the most dangerous thing is a lack of knowledge, but really, once you gain some kind of intimacy with self, the question is, will you allow yourself to keep going back? Right? Like you can say that something's evil, but when you keep going to that same evil system, right? You can say that all presidents are the same and you got two sides of the same coin, two sides of the same bird. But then if you're going to vote Democrat or Republican anyways, then what does it matter? Right? Like we're in a situation we could easily get out. Right? A lot of people are going to celebrate Thanksgiving today. Well, I wouldn't celebrate Thanksgiving, but I don't get to see my family that much. Set up your schedule where you can see your family outside of just on these holy days that we know aren't pure. Right? We're not thinking about this. We just go for the reset. Once you have that hard reset, man, it's difficult. It's difficult. It's very difficult. Right? You've been taught to go with the reset. We've been taught to go with the reset. We've been taught to, even if we learn something, hey, it doesn't matter that much because we can't get out of it. Says who? Well, they did this in Philly. Okay. But see, you didn't have what happened in Philly? What if what was started in Philly and with the Black Panthers and with MLK and with Martin, I'm sorry, and with Malcolm, excuse me, and with Medgar and with Marcus and with Yorkville and with Seneca Falls and with Rosewood and with Tulsa and et cetera, et cetera. What if you brought these things together rather than being so separate? What if you went to a place and said, we will gentrify this, but it will look like us. We will teach our children to be like us. Excuse me, thank you for the love, appreciate it, right? What if we taught that? What if we grew in that? What if we made it a mandate? What if we said, I keep saying this stuff and we're just not doing it, right? But like it could be simple. Like what if we decided to be like, yo, okay, we're not buying anything clothes wise unless it's from people who make clothes in the diaspora. You just made somebody's life change and you've just made your countenance change forever. One decision. What if we said, hey, somebody, they make, food and we're not getting anything unless it's from them? You just change your countenance. What if we said these people create healing, right? And whether it's, natural medicine, whether it's, preventative care and techniques, whether it's massages or whatever, like we have those things in the diaspora. What if we went to people where we know that they put together legal documentation all the time? What if we said we're not going to go to anybody else except these people, and we got them in different states, and some of them are qualified in multiple states? What if we, you see what I'm saying? Like, what if we said, hey, there's somebody out there who knows how to make purified water. Let's start buying up their water. And even if it's not, even if we have to eventually, because they might not be able to get enough for all of us to start, at least like we can buy them out to a point to where they literally, make so much money that and have no product left. They have to become greater and bigger next time. Right. In Central Illinois, I'm not sure who you're closer to. We got Minister Tamara over there, and we got, I guess probably Minister Tamara. I'm not sure. You're in between Minister Tamara and Minister Anais, but there's people in the area, But I'm just saying, like, what if we decided that, like, there's brothers in here that do all types of stuff, can build a house and put, do HVAC stuff and all this stuff, can do all this type of stuff for you, can put together stuff from the ground up. Right? Like, what if we did that with each other? It's at this point, it's not about we don't know. It's about we go right back into default mode. Our default when they reset you, right? Your default mode is I'll just go ahead and do it the way that they said. It's easy, right? But it's actually harder to stay in a system that's against you. When you know there's greatness in you, why would you continue to stay? It's Stockholm syndrome. Right? Do you know the people who have Stockholm syndrome, even though they might fall in love, so to speak, with the oppressor, like it's actually something that they do and they still shake. If you listen to people talk about Stalin, right? When on those times when Joseph Stalin was around, they would actually talk about him as if he was great, but they would shake. When you go to North Korea and you deal with Kim Jong Un and stuff, and you hear them talking about him, they shake while they talk about him. They're so busy telling you how great they are, but something in them, it's very clear by the fact that they can't stay still. It's very clear that they don't want to be a participant, but they've decided to click that part off or forcibly remove freedom and live the harsh reality of never becoming their greatest self. And a lot of us, that's our mindset, right? A lot of us, we go to a job and we shake. Don't want to be here. Don't want to deal with this. Ain't really making no money. This is terrible. Blah blah. Like we shaking, right? But we're trying our best to somehow rectify this in our mind to find a way to be able to say, well, this is the only reality I can deal with. Well, use this reality, change your reality, and say, okay, I'm using this until, and I don't care even if it's $20 a week. Save up something, invest something, right? Put something in a place to where it's going to grow. Have multiple baskets, right? Have some cryptocurrency, have a little savings account if you need it, have a CD or whatever if that's something you want to do, but have something that you're putting in different places. Have a group of people that are coming together to put something into something that we can all use and utilize. You know, it's not that it can't happen; it's that we have made a decision. Oh, we're not going to go, but so far. We have a thought process that says we can't become any greater than XYZ. And so we're kind of stuck. Not kind of, we are stuck. Our reality is something that's warped, which is we cannot become, right? Because of the reset. So I really don't have much more to say. I feel like I'm just repeating myself at this point. I just wanted to make that clear. Like the reset is coming. There's going to be something else that happens again. Trump's coming around again, so that's going to try and get y'all to reset back to, a couple years ago and all that stuff and relive that. And by the way, that was a reset. Remember, they reset you guys from Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan ran on Make America Great Again. They reset it. Trump ran on Make America Great Again. They're going to reset it again. Now, what has he been saying? He's been saying, hey, I'm your great president. Greatness, greatness, as if it's greatness, right? To get S&P 500 account with Vanguard. Okay, there you go. Right? But it's time, like, be prepared for the reset. Something's coming, and they're getting ready to try and get you to start thinking to yourself, do I want to stay on the road that I'm on? Do I want to make sure my people benefit? Do I want to live outside the system? Or do I want to just say, hey, it's over? You said you always thought that the Bible said you weren't allowed to gamble, hence you never went into crypto. Well, I mean, if that's your thought process of gambling, I mean, to invest is to sow a seed. To sow a seed doesn't mean you're going to gain anything from it, right? Matthew chapter 13, starting to verse 3, there's a parable of a sower. He goes out, he throws seed everywhere. He doesn't go, I think it'll only grow in this ground whatsoever if it's guaranteed, right? He doesn't know what's going to happen with the seed. He throws it out. It's not on him, it's on the ground. So some seed he threw out, and people heard the word immediately. They heard it, but hey, just because he invested in it, people didn't want to hear it. But all it took, right? And there were places to where it didn't have any root in it, and it died off. Places where the vicissitudes of life came and choked the life out of some things. But then there was some when it did grow, right? And that's what only 25%, right? If we're going a little, well, mathematics could be a little off, but you know what I'm saying. Let's just go with that to make it simple. 25% was left. 30, 60, 100 fold. All it takes is 100 fold. Think about it. He had messed up and not at 100. He had thrown out 99 seed, 100 seed, and 100 seed never took place. But then he had one seed that grew 100 fold. That meant that those 100 are going to grow again, and those thousands are going to grow, and then et cetera, right to the point to where like one seed that took place. But he was putting it out there. So if we want to talk about that's gambling, and by the way, to call crypto is that. Fiat cash is the same as crypto because it's not backed up by anything. And by the way, you're not even using cash most of the time. People aren't paying cash; you're using your card, which means you're still using a cryptological technology, cryptological currency. And let's not forget that next year in 2023, that the Federal Reserve has already decided that people are going to start using their crypto. So you're going to see your money phased out anyway. So at the end of the day, you're going to use centralized crypto or decentralized crypto. The choice is yours. But like I said, don't put all your eggs in one basket and don't look at just the finances. Look at what the finances can buy you. So do you have land? I don't care if the house and the land is falling apart. Do you own land? Right? That's more important than whose cash are you going to trust or whatever? Like people who are rich don't even use cash like that anyways. They don't want to have cash that's in their account. They want to own stuff that gets real results. They want to own, apartments. That's gonna get you more than making sure that you got, doesn't matter how much crypto you have or don't have. If you got 500,000 apartments that you own, you know. So I'm just saying, like, those are the things, but money's not even real. So don't trip off it. I'm just saying money's part of the equation, but money's not even real. So, don't trip off of just that part of it. There's, the reality is bigger and greater than that. But if you consider that to be gambling, whatever you do it because you're led. Don't do it because you're scared. Do it because you're led. Don't do it because I say so. Do it because you're led. Study it, see what's up with it. If it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Right, but study to show yourself approved. Then bring it before Elohim, that you might be able to work it, and you need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Right, but just be prepared when the reset comes. Hopefully, you guys will be prepared for it. Thank you for listening in. We appreciate you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and take my leave for this evening. See you guys tomorrow on the Rising. We'll get back into our Song and Degree series. Psalm 126 should be our next division of Psalms we'll be going through, which is the seventh step. So we're almost halfway through. So we're excited about that. Thank you guys for coming on tonight. Hopefully you all are doing well. Be safe. Those of you who are participating in the holy days and things like that, we ask that you are prayed up. Hopefully you're prayed up, because even if you thought, hey, I'm just going to do this, I'm going to see family, whatever, there's spiritual stuff connected to everything. So we're just asking that you be prayed up and you be there. And I know there'll be the whole thing of, what the intent was and blah, blah. That's fine. Just realize it's like when you go to an assembly, everybody that sits down in the pew is not there for the same reason you are. Same thing. So just be ready for that. Be prayed up. Be protected. We're praying your safety back to your homes. Praying for those people who are trying to get over certain losses in life and things like that. We appreciate you all for being here. I honor the King and Queen, each and every one of you. I honor the Most High, of course, and I honor the Most High for my Queen, the Honorable Mind, who lives a life that's able to be honored. Check out on TikTok, YouTube, our website, and Pinterest. The tincture of the month is still being pain-free. So if you're dealing with pain, ask her for that. And just, if you can wait a little bit, for those who've made orders, she will make sure that she gets you the orders ASAP. We're just trying to help some family out right now. So we'll prayerfully be in a better situation for everybody soon. But we appreciate you. We honor you. Thank you guys for being on. As always, this has been Pastor Kofi, pastor, servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. And until I have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of you all again, please remember, as always, just know that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family. Take care. Peace.